Wammo Breakfast.
The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Game junkie, Gerard Campbell.
Dare is in my blood.
It is God of War. God of War number 3. And it's Gerard Campbell, a Mr. Game Junkie at stuff.co.nz, joining us. Game Junkie NZ on Twitter as well to review God of War 3. Tell us what it is. Hello to you, Gerard.
Good morning, Wammo.
And thank goodness you're still with us after not being able to be with us last week because you got knocked off yet an altercation with a vehicle.
Oh, but yes, you should see the car, you know. You know, it's, yes, the good old drivers turning into cyclists, so it's on the road to recovery.
Did you get an achievement? No,
but I think you've probably got to go on, take out a vehicle with your head. That would be an excellent one, wouldn't it? It'd be marvellous to have.
100 gamer points, I reckon.
Yes, I wasn't able to game for a couple of days, but I've now got my gaming thumbs back, so we're all good. And so I managed to clean up God of War 3, which was wonderful.
Oh, good news. Good news. Yes, God of War 3 now. Is this a PlayStation 3 exclusive?
Yes, it is. PlayStation 3 exclusive. God of War series has always been PlayStation. You know, PlayStation 2, God of War 1, God of War 2, and there was a PlayStation portable version of God of War, which was really good. And God of War 3 is, it's Sony Santa Monica, the studio that makes the game, and said this is the finale in the God of War series. And, you know, the titular character is Kratos, who you know, he's an angry Spartan. We all know what Spartan warriors are like, and you know, he's
feisty wee things, aren't they?
Feisty. They're a bit feisty, a bit chip on the old shoulder, perhaps sometimes.
Yeah.
And after the first two games, Kratos sort of got wronged by the gods. You know, after he did some work for Zeus and the gods to sort of clear up some of their messes, and then suddenly they sort of I guess they turned their back on him and betrayed him. So in this final one, Kratos wants to take the hurt to Zeus, and he wants to take Zeus out. And essentially he'll slaughter anything in his way, you know, and anything, you know, civilians and big cyclopses and harpy sort of naked booby things with big wings and claws and three-headed dog characters and skeletal soldiers. And, you know, and for gamers that have played the first two games in the series, I mean, it feels like a well-worn glove. Just the combat is the same, and you know, it's a lot bigger and it's a lot gorier, and there's some really cool weapons. But essentially, it's kept all the fundamentals that I think personally that made the God of War series really good. You know, it's just visceral combat, and it's I talked to two of the developers last week when they were in New Zealand, and they said that a big thing that they wanted with this one was to huge scale, make everything huge. And the very first opening level is, you've got this pint-sized Kratos climbing up this godlike creature called a Titan, which are like Empire State Building tall creatures which are climbing Mount Olympus. So you can just imagine the scale here. Yeah, and it looks really good, and there's combat. There's a lot of combat, and we're talking guts being spilled and buckets of blood, and Kratos would be the amount of blood you'd be wading up to your knees in it probably.
Is it almost like the game version of 300?
Yeah, it is. It is, because he's a Spartan as well. So he's sort of one of these guys that will cut your head off first and gut you, and then ask questions later, sort of thing. So, but he and his journey goes from he goes down to hell, and he has to kill off all the gods that are standing in his way, Hades and Hermes and Helios, the god of the sun, and he picks up their items, like he grabs the head of Helios, and you can use that to help light the way, and he grabs Hermes' winged boots, so you use those to speed around places. And the quick time events from the previous games are back, which means that once you've taking on a larger enemy, once you've got them to a certain weakness, you'll have to press the PlayStation controller, a sequence of buttons in the right sequence and the right time, and if you do that correctly, then you'll defeat the centaur, and you'll split his chest open and his guts all spill out and that sort of thing.
That's what we like.
Yeah, so it's lots of guts. If you like guts and blood and legs being cut off and things being split in half, then this is definitely the one for you.
That's everyone, right? We're all into that.
Yeah. Well, we're into that. Well, how can you not love it? It's brilliant. And also throw some puzzles. There are environmental puzzles. You've got things like move boxes and I can't recall. Don't there are any standard crates like we usually have in games? There's no crates I can see, but the sort of weighted objects that you've got to put onto platforms that will lift other things or open other gates or whatever. And the puzzles are pretty good. Apart from there was one really puzzle in the middle of the game, and I thought, and I won't say what it was because people might still be playing it, but it just seemed really out of place. It seemed to be you had blood, kill, and suddenly there was this puzzle, and I thought, it was almost a sort of puzzle that reminded me of like a bit of a Guitar Hero game.
Yeah.
And so that sort of was a downer for me. But then it goes back up. So I mean, it's it's epic, and it's it's lots of blood, and really, really memorable set pieces in it. Just like in a game, it's not perfect. The end battle at the end, I thought was a bit disappointing. It sort of didn't live up to the momentum that you had to get there. But overall, I think it's if this is the last game in the God of War series, and I'm not convinced that it is.
Yeah.
But if it is, it's actually a fitting finale that it sort of does tie up some nice loose ends, and Kratos is this visceral, bloodthirsty, murderous guy, but you do see a different side of Kratos near the end. So there could be some surprises from people that have played the series right through to how this one concludes.
Cool. God of War 3. It's out now on PlayStation 3.
PlayStation 3.
Yes. Gerard Campbell, thanks very much for joining us today. You can continue the conversation over at the Stuff blog, the Game Junkie blog over at stuff.co.nz, and also on Twitter as well, twitter.com/GameJunkieNZ. Anything else you want to say, Gerard? Thank you.
No, I'm all done. Thank you. Thank you, MA.
No problem.